Independent thought, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You want to believe journalists and the news you hear. I've talked about this for years, and this is something I think that we need more talking about. Journalism isn't what it used to be. The reality is we all want to find the truth, right? Now, though, people, they get into their, they go into their perspective little channels of affirmation rather than information. They don't leave their bunkers. They stay in there, and they think whatever they're getting fed is absolute truth, and the other side is lying, and it's frustrating. We try to do the best we can. I was talking to somebody last night, my uncle actually, and I said, it shouldn't be hard to find out information, and it's not. The problem is you find out bits and pieces. The hard part is piecing it all together to find out the actual truth as best that you possibly can. Because no matter how much somebody gives you all the information they have, we all know that it's usually only at best 70, 80, 90% of something. Now, the other, 20%, 10% may be ancillary, may mean absolutely nothing. But the reality is getting to a certain level is tough because you got to put the puzzle together. Nobody trusts the media anymore. Nobody does. Our media trust in this country, I think there's 46 industrialized countries they looked at. We sit the lowest of all of them when it comes to trust in the media. That's crazy. If you think about this, people say, who do you believe more, the right or the left when it comes to the media? I said, well, it depends. What are you talking about media? Are you talking about opinion pieces or are you talking about news? For the opinion, it's just opinion. If you're going to try to spin me news, there shouldn't be right or left. There should just be news. But we've lost our way, and nobody believes them anymore. Fake news has been around forever, by the way, to let you guys know. The difference is we have access to it in a way that we've never had it before. It's very interesting. Now, Project Veritas, and we've had O'Keefe on here a few times, and some of the stuff, let's be real. Go and look at how many times he's been sued, how many times he's sued and won. You may not like how he does some of the stuff, but you know what? We used to look back in the day when investigating journalism was really neat. The problem is journalists don't like the investigations he does because a lot of times he points out a lot of lies and BS that go on inside of many different things, especially things that the liberals love. And so journalists don't like that. This is a major organization, and he's interviewing somebody who works at a major organization, talking about journalism. So think about this. Journalism should be what? Who, what, when, how, and why. You don't get that anymore. You know what you get? Let me tell you as an activist how I feel about this story and how you should feel about it too. I'm serving a portion of people, and you know what? If something makes us uncomfortable and may spin something we don't like in a way that we don't like, we're going to leave that conveniently out of that. You could, if you did that in court, and that's what this is. It's a court of public opinion. You watch what happens. It's a mistrial when somebody does find it out, but now it's about winning hearts, no, minds, absolutely, and serving the public.
I don't want anybody to get fired. I want people to change and realize that they are supposed to be objective.
Objectivity and trust are two of the cornerstones of journalism. But inside one of the nation's largest media companies, writers, producers, editors, reporters, and anchors are literally being trained to not be objective.
I challenge you to stop thinking in terms of objective journalism, and we'll discuss why that's not really feasible anymore.
Wouldn't they want to be trusted?
To me, that seems like that's part of the job, that you need trust to be able to do your job. Your job is to inform. And if you can't trust who you're getting that news from, you're not doing your job.
No. Who, what, when, how, and why. That's the way it used to be. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world like that anymore. And several reasons. One of it is journalism in the place you make money. In fact, in many cases, you starve. So it's become super competitive. And to be a journalist nowadays, I'll tell you, I work at probably two best organizations in radio. I work for a company Radio America, more of a boutique kind of a company with great programming and amazing to work with. Absolutely. And I work here in Phoenix for Bonneville, arguably the best radio company that just deals in radio shows at local levels and owns stations. Two different things. We have journalists here. We have people that not only fact check them, will be last to release a story because they want to double, triple, quadruple check. But it doesn't matter anymore. Anymore, it matters in the competitive world. It's about being first. It's about being loud. It's about clickbait. It's not about telling you who, what, when, how, and why. It's telling you who I think is right or wrong, why I think they're right or wrong, and what they did or didn't do. And you've got to do it in certain ways. It's info or affo. Do you want affirmation or do you want information? Most people want affirmation, so they go so you serve the public and your customers. I just want the truth. And when you've got a company that owns tons of TV stations saying, yeah, you know what, Objective, that's gone now. Throw that out the window. Let's get rid of that. Let's focus on, I don't know, telling the story we want to tell.
And that's just what one whistleblower is telling us from inside a CBS television affiliate in San Antonio, Texas. Brett Mauser is a promotions producer at KENS5, which is owned by Tegna. Tegna is a media company that owns 64 television stations and 2 radio stations in 51 markets.
I'm coming from seeing this every day. I mean, I would tell people, my friends, family, about, hey, you can't trust the news. This is, you're being manipulated. Well, how do you know? I work in the news.
Yeah. And of course, today, oh man, he's evil. He's bad. He's not real. He's not a journalist. You don't have to be a journalist. By the way, you don't have to be a journalist to know when people are full of crap. When you've got people standing in front of you saying, hey, this is how we want to spin this. Project Veritas, right or wrong, for what, was it about 2 years? They were getting on the phone calls every single day with CNN and listening to them throw out all the stuff they want to do, how they want to spin it, how they don't want to do a story here that might shed a good light on Trump, and how they do want to do a story that how Russia. Let's be real. Go back for the last 5 years. What's been the biggest story for much of the media? Russia. What was the story that ended up being an absolute lie? Russia. But you know what none of those people had to do? They never had to give back any of that money they made. Rachel Maddow ran that and ran it and ran it. And every night it was something, Russ, tonight's the night, tomorrow, this is it. They continued to do that. She did that all the way to a $30 million a year contract. She's not giving that money back. That wasn't journalism. It wasn't. Well, she's not a journalist. The problem is when you spin yourself as journalism and you spin it as news, there's the problem. I look at Hannity and I think, you're not a journalist. You're a guy that's flapping your trap, kind of like me. And you're not spinning it as your journalism. And there's the problems with the CNNs, the New York Times, the MSNBCs, is they spin it as this is journalism.
Diversity, inclusivity training officer at Tegna.
It's kind of sorry, not sorry for the statement that I'm making there. At this point, if you're not listening to a podcast or looking at a video or reading any of the information that's out as far as equality and social justice and race, you don't care. We're going to be holding stations accountable because we know it's important to the organization from an inclusion standpoint.
What does this have to do with telling the news?
It doesn't. It's about pushing an agenda.
And that was the vice president of the Tegna.
And it feels almost threatening, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it's uncomfortable because I think we want our news to be non-tainted. We want our news to be a certain way. MSNBC, when the prosecutors in the Rittenhouse case were delivering their statements, cross-examining, doing all the things they were doing, they showed it. When the defense was doing the same, they didn't show it. They've turned something where 3 white people got shot and a white person is on trial into a trial about race, when a trial in Georgia that is about race is scantily being covered. comparatively to what's going on there. That's the insanity. What do you want your journalism to be? And in a day and age where you've got to be competitive and you get paid on likes and shares and all this stuff, it's frustrating. When journalism has an agenda, it's not journalism, it's activism.
So what is that agenda? It apparently involves telling journalists that being factual and objective is racist.
So this is Pointer Institute, has brought in Donna Lowry, training the newsroom about oppressor versus oppressed.
Influence is synonymous with power, how much influence you can have.
I challenge you to stop thinking in terms of objective journalism and we'll discuss why that's not really feasible anymore.
That was the one that blew my mind. That you're now teaching journalists at a national level, don't be objective.
Yeah. And here's the thing. When that happens and something real happens that's news, based in nothing more than actual news, people, when you find out that you're full of it, they'll go elsewhere. Because people aren't as stupid as you think. And when you serve a small group, you find out after a while that tent that you didn't want to make bigger is filling up and your tent is shrinking. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Happy Wednesday. It is Woke Wednesday. We got woke, crazy stuff, including something that is insane. Because you've heard of trans people. Well, I told you it's coming. Nobody wants to believe me. We did it a few years ago as a joke, and everybody, it's coming. So you got trans people. Could we have trans species? What? Calibrate is awesome. I highly recommend it if you need to get down in your weight. Diets don't work. Look, you can have all the willpower in the world, but sometimes you realize, why isn't this working? And it's simple. It's not your willpower. It's the fact that you need a metabolic reset. It's biology. Calibrate is different. It's comprehensive. It's doctor-guided metabolic reset. Promotes sustainable results and lifestyle changes, which is awesome. Works because they do a few things. First, combine doctor prescribes FDA-approved medication paired with lifestyle changes that improves your metabolic health. It's comprehensive. It's fully integrated program, right? So you're going to get classes, one-on-one video coaching, in-app tracking, a community of members just like you, and medical care that includes doctor visits. The earliest members that join the program have lost on average 14% of their body weight. Think about that for a second. People get frustrated because they go on these diets. This is not a diet. This is about taking your biology and resetting it and fixing it. Over 20 years of research shows that the combination of GLP-1 medication and coaching can improve metabolic health and drive long-term sustained weight loss. That's what you're looking for. Fits perfectly into a busy schedule. Check the app as often as you like. Your weight doesn't reflect your willpower. Get back in control with Calibrate. $50 off the 1-year metabolic reset when you use promo code Chad at joincalibrate.com. This will be the best thing you will ever do for you. And it's not even expensive. It is incredible. That's $50 off when you use code Chad at joincalibrate.com. $50 off. Use code Chad at joincalibrate.com. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Other treatments like monoclonal antibodies require patients to go to a clinic or hospital. But the Pfizer pill called Paxlovid can be prescribed by a doctor and taken at home. It's a series of 30 pills for 5 days after testing positive. The Washington Post reporting the Biden administration is already planning to buy enough courses of the drug for 10 million people. Another pill from drug maker Merck could be authorized first, likely by the end of the year.
Yeah. More stuff coming, and this is the thing that that's always been the game changer is one shot 1 year, kind of like the flu thing is what people are looking for, which is fair because, again, this is a virus that's going to be ever evolving. Eventually, over time, we'll stop seeing the continual changing and evolving of it, and we'll get to probably a Delta and a few other ones. And then what are we going to have? Well, we're going to have kind of like what we have now with an endemic rather than pandemic. It's the flu kind of scenario where, this year maybe the Delta strain, but you get one shot, there's a treatment for it, and we never have to deal with this crap again the way that we have for the last 18 to 20 months. And the pharmaceutical companies can continue to print money over and over and over and over again, which is what? They don't want a cure for it. There is no cure. In the sense that you're not going to get a cure for something that is a virus that can not only A, evolve, but B, can go from humans to animals and vice versa. We've never stopped that, and we never will. At least not right now with the technology we have. So now we're going to have treatments. Treatments change so much. Treatments change because an at-home treatment where you call your doc, you go, hey, I tested positive for this. Okay, here's some stuff. Go pick it up. You go pick it up. You take it, and boom, you move on. That's it. You know what's funny, though, is we have a bad flu season because last year we didn't have exposure. Part of exposure and building up immunity is the exposure, so we didn't have really any exposure. And we have a bad cold season, same kind of scenario. Kids spread those things. They build up immunity. So do you over time. Just being around it, you're building up some sort of T-cell immunity. The funny thing, though, is I was talking to a couple of people. It's like, oh, yeah, my kid's got a really bad cold, but they tested negative for COVID, but we still sent him to school. Like, that's where we are. When do we get to that point with COVID? When do we get to the point where it's like, oh, I can't miss any time? I mean, I'm sure we've gotten there, but if you're asymptomatic or you think, oh, you could pass it off as allergies, it's one thing. I mean, obviously, if you're not, even if you got the flu and you're just, you're not going to work. But when do we get there where you're just like, I'm moving on? Now that you've got all the stuff, kind of like the flu, right? How many people go, it's just a head cold or I got a little bronchi. You go, you tough it out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Woke Wednesday, kids. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's the most expensive time of the year. I think we know that. And normally that's true. It's expensive, right? Because you're buying stuff. You got the family coming over for the holidays, whatever holidays that you are getting ready to partake in. I know we've got Thanksgiving coming up. 8 days from now? Family's coming over. Then, boom, the mad rush is on for Hanukkah, Christmas, all of the holidays, the New Year. All of this stuff's going. And while all that's happening, we're still sitting around going, it's expensive. And can I even get myself any of the stuff I need?
This Thanksgiving, brace yourself for the highest grocery tab you've had in decades. How bad is it going to be this year?
For millions gathering for the first in-person Thanksgiving in 2 years, be prepared to pay up. Thanks in part to a labor shortage in the supply chain, the retail price of turkeys is up 9 cents a pound compared to last year. The other reasons, the higher cost of corn to feed those turkeys and inflation.
I'm going to raise my own turkeys next year. I've decided that because of all the animals that I have, we've decided, you know what, I think we're getting ready to buy a little piece of the property next to us that we're going to raise some animals, for snacks, if you will. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays itself out because I told people yesterday, I mean, it's not hard right now to look and get frustrated at stuff. And can you blame everything on strictly on Biden? No, but Biden, you're the guy, right? You wanted this. It's landed at your feet. you're the guy, and this is where leaders become leaders. You take something, you reshape it, you make it your own, and all you're really doing is just crapping everywhere, and people are not very thrilled by this. Every time you drive by a gas station, it is a ad for Republicans. Every time you go to the store and you hear stuff like, wow, I paid more and got less, and people are complaining in line, it is an ad for Republicans. And if you're not going to be able to get your turkey this year, or the turkey you get's going to be more expensive and it's going to be less of it, people are pissed. They are. They're frustrated. And we want to shop. We want to get out there, want to spend some cash, because for some people, they do have cash that's sitting around. And for some people, it's just that time of year. They look forward to this time of year. They've been saving up for this time of year, for Christmas, for turkey, for family coming over. The last year and a half, 2 years has been a struggle. Last holidays weren't what they weren't supposed to be. People are getting frustrated.
Americans are still eager to shop, even with the highest inflation in 30 years driving up prices. Home Depot Tuesday reported a nearly 10% increase in earnings, fueled by a surge in home improvement projects. And new data from the Commerce Department shows retail sales jumping nearly 2% from September to October, more than was predicted.
But there's a caveat there. If things are more expensive, it doesn't mean we bought more. It just means we spent more. And here's a perfect example of how media can spend stuff. Right? It's like unemployment. And I've done this for both the Republicans and the Democrats. Unemployment's the lowest in the history of all kind. Well, let's be real. Under Trump, unemployment was pretty low. When they say we were close to full employment, we were sitting at probably 5% when they say it's 2 point whatever percent or 3%, whatever it was. Because you've got to add on. Remember, if you go off the doles, meaning they're no longer counting you, you're no longer unemployed. You're just non-existent. You've exhausted your unemployment. So as far as they're concerned, you no longer exist. So a lot of times real unemployment is far bigger than people understand it to be. And it's the same thing here. You could spin it and say, well, look at it. Consumers are spending more money. Are they really spending more money in the sense that they're buying more, or are they just spending more for the things that they need? Oh. Part of that has to do with fuel.
Out here in California, you can see the reason why people are spending more on gas. Behind me, we've got a gas station selling gas for about $5 a gallon. Down the road, it's about $6 a gallon. And all of that is adding up to a holiday weekend, Thanksgiving coming up. $600 million more per day Americans are going to spend on their gasoline.
So just to give you guys an example, they spend almost 70 cents on tax in California for gas. And you couple that with the 18 cents. So almost, it's about 86 cents a gallon goes to gas. Here in Arizona, if we're 18 and 18, so it's 36 cents. So they're spending almost 50 cents more on tax alone. And this is a state who, by the way, also has to spend more because... And this is interesting. You guys don't know, they flip and they have special gas, like summer blend, winter blend. So they're already going to spend more in certain areas anyways. That's not spending more money because you spent more money. You didn't buy an extra shirt. You just paid more. And how much of that is taxes? I mean, if you took $1 away, okay, they're near where I am. Producer Phil, you're out in where do you get your gas? Do you get it in Virginia? Do you get it in?
I get it in Virginia.
What's the average right now?
About $3.20, $3.30.
Yeah, I paid $3.29 last Sunday. Yesterday I paid, or Monday morning I paid $3.60. So 30-cent jump at the same gas station I go to every single time. It's nuts. That's not spending more. That's frustrating people. And every one of those times it jumps a little bit here, a little bit there, it means that getting it to you is a little bit more. Not only getting it to you is a little bit more, but feeding whatever you're going to eat potentially is going to cost a little bit more. It all adds up. And then you have silly stuff like this.
For people on fixed incomes, older people on Social Security, they're getting those fixed payments adjusted next year up 5.9%. for inflation. And the dirty little secret here, nobody likes to pay more. On average, we have the money to do so.
Actually, that's Stephanie Rule. And this is her rule because she's doing everything she can to spend it, right? And the fixed income and your little inflation bump is not covering the cost of the stuff that's jumping. Because when they say, oh, inflation's only gone up X amount, right? It's only gone up this amount, like 3% or 5%, and you're getting a 5 or 6% bump. Here's the reality. You multiply that by all the items you're buying. So, yes, if you're buying a one-off shirt or you're going to the store and you're buying some cranberry, and last year it was, I don't know, it was cranberries, it was $1, and now you're paying $1.10, okay. But if you multiply that by several things, that's not, oh, it just went up a little bit.
Household savings hit a record high over the pandemic. We didn't really have anywhere to go out and spend. We're expecting retail sales this holiday season to break record. And while the stock market isn't the economy, you got over half of American households with some investment in the markets, and the markets have hit record highs. So we need to put all of this in perspective. This time last year, nobody had a vaccine. Now 200 million Americans do, and we're seeing this push of demand, and that's pushing up pricing.
Oh, is that what it is? It's pushing up price. That's what it is. No, there is supply and demand. Absolutely. We talked about that with oil yesterday. Make the phone call. You know, somebody says, Chad, why don't you talk about speculators to drive the price up? Speculators, the average commodity broker will tell you this. They don't move the marketplace like you think, the average speculator. And my uncle and I got into it last night. He's like, well, when under Trump and we didn't have this problem. Well, yeah, because Trump dealt with OPEC and he dealt with the Saudis, which is what Biden doesn't want to do for whatever reason, because he doesn't want to get people, on the left, climate change activists pissed at him. He's more worried about what's being said on Twitter rather than, worry less about Twitter and more about what the average person at the table's talking about. Worry less about what an activist is angry about than what the average person who will come out and vote. Worry less about those things and more about the things that matter. And the other thing is when when people are going, well, why aren't you talking about speculators? Large countries. So when you buy a commodity and sell a commodity, in reality, you're buying the physical of it. So if I buy gold, if I don't get out of it or I buy, let's just say for the sake of argument, you've got contracts and then you've got several different things you can do, right? So people go out and they'll sell and they'll buy out in further months because they're trying to hedge the bet just in case the marketplace goes against them. The price will rise here or collapse there, and you're paying a small amount to hedge your bet because you own the physical of it. Large corporations will be the market makers in that. And if OPEC decide to say, hey, we're going to open up the spigot and really let some of this stuff out, they're going to go out in the marketplace and say, okay, we expect oil to drop here. So people will start buying in large groups, not trading it one contract at a time, but in large swaths. Those aren't speculators. Those are people who are protecting their downside. And we're not getting that phone call anytime soon. And when she talks about we've got more money, we may have more money in theory, but it's costing far more money to do the average thing. I'm not looking forward. I got to drive out this weekend. I'm so excited. I got to go see my son play hockey. I've been to California in almost 2 years. So if you listen to the show regularly, my son Jack, last year, we split time because he was doing everything from home. So he'd be out here for a month and he'd go back there for a month and back and forth. This year he's back in school. So I haven't been out there in, I think, January, February of last year was the last time I was out there. My family's coming down to San Diego. I haven't seen my family in 2 years. I'm excited. You know what I'm not excited about? Paying $6 for gas, $5 for gas. It's crazy. It is. Things have gone through the roof. That's an ad. That's an ad. For a lot of people who were thinking about going some places, they're thinking twice. That's an ad for Republicans. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So when they say, yes, we spent more last month because we've got pent-up demand of things that we want and tons of money, understand just because something cost more doesn't mean we bought more. Oh, yeah. Raycons will not cost you more. I do the exact opposite. Ray J's put together the best earbuds around. These everyday earbuds are incredible. What I love about them is they got a new sleek oil look and feel that's incredible, right? So it looks like that matte black or white or whatever, and it looks so cool and sleek. The sound quality is second to none. 3 new sound profiles: pure mode, balance mode, bass mode. Audio quality is awesome. The other thing I love about them is the price. They start under $70, and you're going to save on top of that. 8 hours of playtime, 32 hours of battery life, built-in mic, easy to take phone calls, and the other thing is the noise isolating fit, which is second to none. Right now, save up to 20%. So instead of 15, you get 20%. Perfect for the holidays. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Limited time. Take advantage of it. Don't miss out. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. The best earbuds around, period. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Podcasts are American as hot dogs, apple pie, football, and sushi.
Oh my goodness. No.
Okay, maybe not sushi. Next time you have a craving for something sweet and tangy, download a Chad Benson Show podcast.
Boy, that is good. It's different because you get a little bit of saltiness.
It's so good because it's sweet and salty at the same time.
Get a taste on iTunes, iHeart, or Spotify and binge to your ears' content.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
It is Woke Wednesday, where we make fun of things that are ridiculous. There's plenty of it. There's absolutely so much. Where should we start today? We joked about animals a while ago, right? Because I said, what did I say I wanted to be? Paul did a mock-up for us. Trans species. Oh, I wasn't a platypus. What was I? What was that? What's the thing that the sea cows that hang out in Florida? What are those things called? Manatee. I want to be a manatee. Put my head on that. Well, guess what?
Basically, she went to the store. Frog went to the store. It's her coat. It's Frog's coat. That's pretty much it. It's just frog, frog's self. So she, hers, herself, frog's self. It belongs to Frog. It's Frog's self. And pretty much any other noun pronouns can be used like this, such as kitty's kitty self, or puppy self, or paw. Paw went to the store. It's Paw's coat, etc.
Hold on a second. Paw, could that be Dad? Because I've watched many episodes of Little House on the Prairie, and always she called him Paw. Paw. Were they talking about it? No. Now, how about Zer?
Do you see this person next to me?
No.
He is my friend. C has had to put up with a lot to get to where Per is today. I just want to let Glint know that Thon is valid, that ver pronouns are valid, and that Sarah identity is valid. Please, treat them with respect, and I'm sure A will respect you too.
That's the person that's going to be leading your diversity and equity inclusion segment of your community. And then we go to my favorite story of the day. There was a band called Girl Band. They're an Irish band. Oh, for sure we were Irish. We were absolutely Irish. Still are. Not anymore. They released a statement yesterday, and what I love is, we are changing our band name. We will no longer be performing or releasing records under the name Girl Band. We apologize for choosing a misgendered name in the first place, and to anyone who has been hurt or affected by it. Excuse me? When we were starting out, it was chosen without much thought. From a place of naivete and ignorance, we had no grasp of the weight of it. And at the time, in the past few years, we found it impossible to justify or explain this choice. Regardless of our intention, the effect of the name has been damaging to individuals. To try and negate any unfortunate role we've played in propagating a culture of non-inclusivity in music or otherwise, we have decided to change it. Okay, again, let's do this. I've got my Michael Myers and Jason doll right here. Show me again on the doll where their name hurts you. Just show me. Show me here on the name. Led Zeppelin is going to change their name because of the whole Zeppelin thing that took place. Remember that? Is that the way we're going to do it from now on? We're sorry about, the whole Zeppelin thing, and for that we apologize. So we've changed the name to not even Led because of the thing that went on in Flint, Michigan. So we're over that as well. So we're just going to be called no name. No, we can't even call ourselves that, huh? Sucks. We just don't exist. 323-538-2423. More wokeness. It's insane. Who was hurt by this? Anyone who was hurt or I can't sleep because of girl band. Why? Because of what they did? No, because they're next door playing loud and they're awful. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Crazy day, little woke Wednesday, having fun. As you know, the battle's still going on in the world of public opinion, which seems to be the only place that matters anymore. Can we just talk about that for a second? What matters more than anything else seems to be the court of public opinion. Case in point. Great research done by Pew Research, right? So they do. I just want research. I don't need anything other than that. Just give me the things that matter, and we'll go with that. I'll be able to decipher this, and then we can make our own, takes from there. One of the things that was very interesting, though, is in this Pew Research, they talk about the fact that, for instance, Twitter, right? Not a lot of people use Twitter. We'd like to think that Twitter is everything. The funny thing is, though, the influence Twitter has is so much greater than even the spoken word anymore. And part of the reason is Twitter's one of those things where, and I discussed it yesterday with a few people, was we were discussing this, look, especially in the world of cancel culture, people being canceled, I mean, whatever you want to call it, punishment culture, the weird thing is people with typed words, there's no nuance, right? So you say a joke or you do anything like that. There's no nuance. So you're having to explain to people, it's not what I meant. That's you guys are taking out of context because you know what the context was. You don't know any of those things. Where there's a spoken word, but even now they edit it up. But what's crazy about this, a minority of Twitter users, they say, produce a majority of tweets from U.S. adults. The most active tweeters are less likely to view the tone of civility of discussions as a major problem on their site. Translation. People screaming and yelling and fighting, they're not bothered by that. They don't care. And that's what it is. You're there, you're throwing fire out there, and you're throwing red meat out there. We've all been guilty of it if you're trying to stoke a conversation. And now you don't even have to do anything. It used to be you had to do something to get some sort of reaction to people, like the hot take. Now, saying hello could be hot enough for people to come after you. Or somebody else even commenting on something that you posted that was benign could get you in trouble. But it also talks about the influence of that, where people who, so you can go on Fox or MSNBC and you could say some stuff, right? You could throw something out there. Politicians be like, yeah. If you go on Twitter and tweet it, their reaction is different. We've talked about it in the business world. Businesses aren't worried about a downturn in the economy. Nobody wants that. But a quarter or two down based on the economy usually means as a whole, everybody's probably struggling. There's only so much you can do. A bad tweet, the mob coming after you, as they see it, is far more dangerous. Democrats and Republicans on Twitter differ in their views. The major problem of the site and its overall impact on democracy. They nearly identically share the site as mostly good. So about 38% of them say, yeah, it's mostly good. 38% say it's mostly bad. 24% says it has no impact either way. Republican Twitter users, including Republican-leaning independents, are roughly twice as likely as Democrats and Democrat-leaners to say the site is bad. Conversely, half of Democrats who use it say the site is good for America, just 17% of the same. So across the board, from independents, Republicans, if you put everybody together, it's kind of a breakdown. It's pretty fair. But when you go and just strictly this and that. Adults, 37% say it's good. 24 says no impact. 38 says mostly bad. Is it good or bad? You know what it is? It's a tool. The problem is, as you use a tool, it can be dangerous, right? Just as you use anything, right? Your car can be dangerous. Scissors can be dangerous, but they can also be beneficial. The problem is, in today's world, how you use the car, somebody may be mad at you for, right? I didn't like the way you did that. And then you start, you didn't cut this right. And that's the problem with Twitter, though. Everything is that. Everything seems to be that. And that's the frustrating thing. And when you have people on the extremes who be the ones that mostly engage, that's a scary side as well. Both right and left use it in ways that are, well, uncomfortable at times, and they're doing it on purpose. And it's a sad thing that we have people, and I see this all the time with politicians, who are worried about what Twitter's going to say about them or social media, when 99% of the people that are on there aren't even in their districts. They don't represent those people, but that's the fear that they have. And that's sad. That is. We get it all the time. I can guarantee you somebody's probably said something horrible about me in the last 10 minutes, 20 minutes. But what are you going to do? Right? You can't do anything anymore. People are just angry. Sometimes in life, people are just angry. You know, when I was a kid, it's like it's that guy down the street, right? So he's pissed off and angry. It doesn't matter what you do. Hi, Mr. Johnson. Piss off. That person's always angry. Some people are just like that. They leave Yelp reviews, and no matter where they go, the Yelp review's always bad. They always have something to say. The problem is we've multiplied that by millions and tens of millions, and we give them a platform. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. What's going on with the Rittenhouse trial, the Aubrey trial, is a perfect example of how Twitter and news has taken things. One's become a trial about race. And you're like, huh? Oh, yeah, the Aubrey trial. No, not the Ahmaud Aubrey trial. Not the 3 white men who stalked the black man and shot him and then half-ass got away with it. And thankfully, the powers that be said, this can't happen. Right? Not that. That's not about race. The white guy who shot 3 other white guys, that's about race. But you can find race in anything. Case in point, CRT is the new what? Here we go.
Why should our kids pay for the sins of their ancestors?
But they're not
so it's
teaching
about
that.
it's ridiculous. I know they're not, but it doesn't matter. A lot of it is about race and culture issues. So Democrats are very bad at arguing, and Republicans are very good at fueling and manufacturing outrage.
So it's the new
so they're
Southern
taking
strategy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We at Warner
So it's
was
all
the-
based on race.
We at the Lincoln Project pointed that out in the Virginia race. That critical race theory is the new N-word for Republicans and the Southern strategy in 2021. But Democrats have to have a good comeback, or they will lose in 2022.
It's about controlling language. So now, anytime you say critical race theory, you're just saying the N-word, controlling language. So you put it out there, you get it in the sphere, right? You throw it out there into the world. You're able to control the language. You craft it in the way that you want. You can bend things, and that's what you see with misinformation, disinformation, and BS. And that's not good. Critical race theory is the new N-word because you don't want to learn about race. I'm fine. Are we teaching all of it or just the part that you want to teach? Are you an activist or are you a teacher? Are we going to separate things? Are you going to blame this child over here and say, hey, you know, your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers who you never met potentially could have been slave owners, but probably not. But still, they lived in a time when evil happened, and because of that, you are guilty. And so for that, you've got to move over here because everything in the world's going to be great for you. You, person of color, in particular black person. We're not talking about the Hispanic kids or the Asian kids. You guys will be nothing but victims. So you guys move to this side of the classroom. Now we're making things better. No, we're not. And so much of this chaos and craziness has been fueled by what? Insanity on social media. And the extremes tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and Instagramming and celebrities. It's frustrating. I don't do much social media anymore. And the part of the reason is it just gets frustrating. You can't have a real discussion with anything, and nobody's mind's ever been changed on social media. They've just got angrier. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Car Shield makes what? Your car happy. Yeah, makes everything better right there. Why? Because, you know, you got protection in a day and age when it's used cars are through the roof and the expense of new cars. And if you can even get any of these things, it's expensive to get. You don't want to take on a hefty payment. Car Shield can protect you with that. Say your car breaks down. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. You get coast-to-coast roadside assistance, a rental car for free, trip reimbursement, and you choose the mechanic. So you know the job's getting done the way you want. For 1 million drivers have been helped by Car Shield. Car Shield cars go further. Once something goes wrong, you make the phone call to Car Shield. They take care of everything. They got plans to fit every single budget. I use it on my cars. I suggest you do the same to yours. It's a great way to protect yourself. They make great Christmas gifts as well, I'll tell you that. Protecting your car so you don't want to have and not have it, right? Yeah. So what's the old saying? I'd rather need and have than not have and need. And that happens way too often, especially when that check engine light comes on. Check it out for yourself. They make everything simple. Their administrators take everything over and boom. You just sit back, take a deep breath, let them handle the paperwork and the expensive payment. You pay a small deductible. Get covered today. Save an extra 10%. Make it a win-win for you this holiday season. CarShield cars go further for a reason. Go to carshield.com/Benson. Saves you 10%. Carshield.com/Benson. Carshield.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
We're just talking about social media.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's talk about what's trending on the old interwebs. Let's start over in the magical world. Oh, Google. Spider-Man No Way Home came in this morning bright and early, and I'm like, oh, it's up. I wanted to see it. It looks interesting. Looks good. Right? So you got a new Spider-Man movie. Sure, there's going to be all kinds of PC stuff in there. Oh, my God, it's trans Spider-Man. And this one's over here is woke Spider-Man. But it does look interesting because he wants everybody to forget that he has Doctor Strange. Hey, can we do a spell where everybody forgets that Peter Parker's Spider-Man? And he screws it up, and then he opens up portals, and all of a sudden there's like 50 different Spider-Mans, like the Spider-Verse, and all the old villains are back. A lot of searches there. Mexico, Canada. Canada beat Mexico last night in a World Cup qualifier 2-1. We tied with Jamaica 1-1. Jamaican me crazy. But the Canadian game, it was, first of all, there was a lot of, they didn't like each other. Secondly, the game was played in like 10-degree weather. The Mexican team did not look comfortable. Just want to point that out. Rittenhouse, Aubrey, also trending. Head over to, yes, Google. All the stuff that's going on over there, including gas prices heading higher and higher in California. People not as excited as you would think they would be when it comes to that. The Rittenhouse and Aubrey trials are also trending as well. Yo, wait, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. COVID stuff. When it comes to the pill, we're going to have a pill for that? We're going to have a pill for that. Yes. Looks like it. Sooner rather than later, Merck and Pfizer will both have pills that will be treatments for COVID if you catch it. Staples Center is being renamed Crypto.com. No way. Yep, Crypto.com. Think about crypto. They weren't around 5-10 years ago. I mean, smatterings of stuff, but nothing that you really knew about. And cryptocurrency has gotten to the point now where things like Crypto.com is buying their naming rights to the Staples Center, which outside of Madison Square Garden, which I don't know if they'll ever sell their names, is probably the most expensive that you're going to pay. That's insane. It shows you what it's like when you strike oil. Because that's the gold rush, the oil boom is technology. We forget. We think that technology is like, it's been around. It's not. We are in the infancy of technology. We are just getting started in technology. We're still feeling things out. We've got the good, we've got the bad, we've got all of the stuff that's going on. But we're still in this infancy stage of figuring out things we can do. I read yesterday there's a company that apparently, now people say they're skeptic about it, but they say, hey, you know what? We can tell you're lying and we don't have to hook you up to anything. We're going to be able to tell that you have lied. Like, oh. It's happening. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. A little Woke Wednesday, a lot more wokeness to go. Because, you know, we like to get woke on Wednesday. It's not very nice. You're making fun of wokeness. I'm not. I think it's great to be awakened. I think it's great to have diversity and inclusion. I like it when it's natural. I think that's better. I think we all understand that. 323-538-2423. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The chaos and craziness of all that goes on and how we blow things up. It's like even the Rittenhouse case to talk about. I'm talking about right, wrong. I'm not talking about the outcome or anything. I'm just talking about this case. It's like, it's so big. And it became black versus white and all of this stuff. And you're sitting there, you're thinking to yourself, like, again, I go back to what's missing. It's the average person thinking about. It's the average person thinking, this is what the average person's thinking about. What do you think of that Rittenhouse case? The kid's an idiot. What's he doing there with a gun? How are your kids? Kids are doing fine. Kids in, playing soccer. The other one's getting ready to go off to college, and that's kind of where that goes. Now, there's some people that sit around and will him and haw and talk about it for hours and look at the social side of things. Yeah, but I'm just talking about the average everyday person. If you walk out and you go, who's Kyle Rittenhouse? Who's Ahmaud Arbery? I don't know. Somebody. Yeah. It's and then we take it and then we have these weird false equivalencies where you have to throw things out there. Joy Reid, who, can we just say, somebody will say, oh, you're saying that because she's black. No, she's awful. Just because you're black doesn't mean you can't be bad at something. Just because you're white doesn't mean you're good at everything. In fact, you could be good and bad. Somewhere along the line, she gets to go out and say crazy things. But I understand what she's doing. She is serving an audience, her customers. They want to hear this. When the likes of you go out there and you look and you say, okay, Rachel Maddow, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, right? Jake Tapper and Cuomo. They're serving their customers what they want. If you come on and you say, Joe Biden's doing a great job on immigration, and you're Sean Hannity, your people will go, you're nuts. First of all, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle, you guys should all say, you're insane. But because your customers don't want to hear that. If I go to if I go to In-N-Out Burger and I want them to give me a burger, but instead they say, we're only going to give you a pizza, I'm going to find a place that will serve my needs. Journalism isn't journalism anymore. It's activism. And Joy Reid, perfect example of some of the craziness. Now, is she a journalist? That's the other thing. Who's a journalist and who's not? We should start going around saying, all right, you over there, are you a journalist? Okay, you're a journalist. So the who, what, when, how, why. Okay, you go over there. Yeah, you go over there. You're just a talking head. You're going to give your opinion. You didn't study journalism. It's not your gig. Anything that you would do and write would be based on opinion as much as it is fact. You're going to go over there. So you over here, you don't portray yourself as a journalist. You over here, you do. So you journalist, I want the who, what, when, how, and why. I don't need activism. Over here, you're paid to be that. That's what we pay you for. And then the journalists will go, well, they're making 20 times I am. Well, then what happens? We got to figure out how do we put everything because you want to make money. Of course you do. Of course. She was a journalist. She was a journalist. But now she's just like everybody else. She's a talking head because that's where the money's at.
So it's Kyle Rittenhouse trial. It reminded a lot of people of something, I just can't remember what it was. Oh, the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, in which Brett Kavanaugh, who had been accused by a high school friend of committing sexual abuse of her, cried his way through the hearings to make him a permanent.
First of all, I just want to say something. The Kavanaugh trial was the biggest joke. You had a woman who didn't remember anything, who let's be real, they dressed her. They made her look as meek and as weak as possible, as if this evil man, you're an evil man, I say. An evil man. And you dredge up something and you bring it forward where nobody, including her friends, could really remember anything of the sort. And she wasn't really 100% sure it was this guy. That's not a trial. That's not a hearing. That's a assassination of someone's character. That's a different thing. Normally, when there's smoke, there's fire. Meaning, did we get 5,000 women that came out and talked about it? They tried to roll out another woman. Remember how bad that went? So settle down.
Permanent member and Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. And his tears turned out to be more powerful than the tears of Christine Blasey Ford.
Because everybody thought she was full of it. And by the way, how did the Democrats treat her after she was of no use to them? Exactly.
Which were the tears of an alleged victim. But in America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears. Really white tears in general, because that's what Karens are, right? They Karen out, and then as soon as they get caught, it's like, green waterworks. White men can get away with that too. And it has the same effect. Even as the right tries to politicize the idea that masculinity is being robbed from American men by multiculturalism and wokeism, they still want to be able to have their tears. So my friend Jahan Jones, who writes the brilliant The Readout blog, wrote a great piece about this. And if you want to read it...
You don't. But if you do, msnbc.com/readout blog. Go there and check it out. Go ahead. White tears. We were talking off air. Rittenhouse should probably never have gone to trial. Never. I mean, you will get no argument that dumbass kid should have been at home. His parents should have been watching him. He went to a place where he thought he was going to be some sort of savior to stuff. By the way, most states, you cannot defend your stuff. You own a business. You cannot defend your business, which is stupid. If you want to blame somebody, you blame the police. You blame cities and counties across the country that allowed people to go into places and break things, rob things, start fires, destroy people's businesses. All that being said, you legally had a right to carry a gun. I think when you look at all the information and you see how horrible the prosecution's doing, trying to make a case where every time they bring somebody up, they're like, well, yeah, we did try to beat him up. Oh, yeah, we did threaten to kill him. Oh, yeah, we did all of these things. At some point in time, you just step back and go, well, what are we doing here? But it's business. Again, at the end of the day, it's business. MSNBC, let's show all of the prosecution and none of the defense. Because you're not a journalist, you're an activist. You're not a journalist, you're an activist. Your goal is to be an activist. Your goal is to shape language, to shape minds in believing something without truth. And in a day and age where media is at the bottom of the barrel in trust, and it goes both ways, by the way, just to let you know. It goes both ways. Both the right and the left are very suspicious of the media. And they both have the places that they go and do their thing. Fox, Newsmax, One American News. The reality is it's Fox. Newsmax is there, but it isn't Fox. MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, LA Times, New York Post. That's more activism than journalism. It's not good. It isn't. It's sad because to find stuff out that you want to find out, you've got to do what? And as I explained to my friends, do people do it on purpose? Yeah, some of them do. because this is what they believe, and they're liberal or they're conservative, and they're going to push out things, and they're going to tell half-truths, or they're not going to give a full story. And some of it is just the fact that there isn't the full story yet, and you're putting something out there, but you're starting to slant it a different way. And then some of it is financial. Telling who, what, when, how, and why doesn't pay the bills. When you're paid for likes, shares, clicks, views, going out there and saying, this is what happened, and more investigation is being done, this is the time it happened, and this is where it happened, is not going to earn you money. And when you got to pay your bills, and somebody comes to you and says, man, you wrote a great article here. It's got all the who in it. It's got the why it took place, where it took place. But nobody read it. You start figuring things out. Well, to get it to, I got to have clickbait. It's the reason they call it clickbait. There's a reason they throw headlines out there that are insane. There's a reason that they do that, because they want you to click. But I always tell you, if you click on something, this is what I want you to do. We used to do this when we used to train for all the commodity brokers and stockbrokers licenses. The people that would go through the course, and they had courses on how to pass these things. They would tell you to read the last line of the question, and that's where you'll find the actual question and the answer, as opposed to reading an entire thing. If you go to the clickbait, you read the last paragraph, you'll usually find that's all the story you need. The rest of it is fluff and spin. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. I do. Even silly things like fact checking. That to me always makes me, like, you go and it's like, well, everybody picks and chooses their fact checks, right? So, but everybody go to Snopes or this, that, and the other, or you PolitiFact, and you go to PolitiFact, and it's always so funny because, like, this side over here, the right's always lying, and I'll point that stuff out all day long. But the left, they'll lie, and then it's like, but hold on, let me put it in context. No, that's not the way you do it. You don't get to put it in context for them. You didn't do it for this side. Don't do it for that side. It's either a lie or it's not. Not what you think they meant to say, but what they actually said. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet, text. Love hearing from you. MyPillow has a BOGO, buy one, get one free. Geezer Dream Sheets made with long staple cotton. Great cotton. You're going to love, love, love. Love these. Best sheets you're ever going to own. From king down to queen, variety of colors and styles. The long staple cotton gives it this cool, nice feel, these Geezer Dream Sheets. So you're never going to be too hot. You're never going to be too cold. 6-day money-back guarantee. 1 year limited warranty. Tons of deep discounts. MyPillow, My Slippers, all of the stuff. The mattress topper. It's available for you at deep discounts. But the buy one, get one free is going on right now. Great for the holidays. Made right here in the U.S. of A., which is a wonderful thing. It's good to see people working here. Good jobs. Nothing wrong with that. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
If you guys listen to our show, you know many different things, including something that nature can do to you. Producer Phil, talk about nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. Even if that means nature sometimes comes indoors. Case in point, Tahoe. A 7-Eleven and a bear wanders on into said 7-Eleven when the lady gets a little upset with the bear and then finally loses it.
Oh my goodness. He knows how to open. Hey! Stop! Hey! Get out! Get out! Get out! Hey! 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 Ow! Ow!
God, Yoko Ono's new album sucks. Sounds a lot like the last album. Oh my God, she's what I love about that is the bear just sits there and it's got one of those like things where, you know, hand sanitizer, and it's all blonk, blonk, and it puts its head under it. It's a blonk, blonk. But then it gets better, right? So it gets better because of the headline in the SF Gate. So SF Gate, right? San Francisco Gate. The headline is spectacular. It says, this behavior is not typical. Who would think that was typical? Just out of curiosity. Who would think for a second that, hey, you know what, man? Dude, you guys come on down to the 7-Eleven. You know, it's, but got to get here early because, you know, after about 8 o'clock, the Bears come in. Unless, of course, it is in San Francisco. Some people will get that. Others won't. Settle down. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. I just love her. Hey. Oh, my Lord. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of a world where we live in privilege, because we all do. I have tons of privilege. By the way, being an American, privilege. And then there's different degrees of privilege. And there's different degrees of a lot of different things. This lady, we'll call her Barbie because she's in Beverly Hills and looks so much like Barbie, has, I think, a lot of privilege and is very upset about the current parking situation.
The Beverly Wilshire off of Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, right? Upon arrival, I pull up and I see the dehumanized face valet standing there just staring at me. And I'm waiting because, you know, one would assume that the valet comes to help you with the door, assist with the 5 bags and folding makeup chair that I have to carry up a million flights, and then maybe, I don't know, park the car. But no, he's just standing there staring at me. So I'm waiting, and I then have to ask, excuse me, what would you like me to do? He says, oh, you could just park down there. What?
Yeah. She was upset about parking down there because of the stuff. She's not done.
So you're telling me you're not going to do your job? Oh, let me guess why. Because f***ing COVID. Yeah. So the valet is now paid to just stand there and stare at you while you get your out of the car and park your own car. Please explain to me why this is a job.
She's going to make several men miserable and broke. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I would not have helped her either. Your attitude, ma'am, is poor. No beauty will overcome that. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Hello. Hope you're doing well. It was good to let the fighting begin, because that's what happens. Fighting all the time on everything. Part of that is media. Let's be real. Media love itself a fight. Media does. Media loves itself the opportunity to divide. And it, like everything, right? Oil, it's a business. Why aren't we producing as much oil? I thought we could be oil independent. First of all, last year, we didn't need oil. If you go and look at the price of oil, compared to last year to here, and saw that early part of the year, oil prices were really down. And then they continued to go down. And then as we started to consume more, they started to go up. But people stopped producing. And the reason was simple. It wasn't worth it. If it costs you $50 to get something out of the ground and it's only $20 to sell in the open market, you're losing $30 per barrel. And you have 1,000 barrels a day, 500 barrels a day, whatever it is. That's not worth it. That's not a win. So they capped a lot of places. And so we have 7,000 plus oil leases and wells that are just sitting out there right now. Some of them are getting fired up. Yeah. But it's a business. It's a business. And that's what it is. You go and look at last year and you look at what took place. April 2020. $20 a barrel. Now, we're sitting way up there in between 75 and about $80 a barrel, depending on the day, depending on the time. That's massive. Huge. But it's a business. And in business, you're there to make money. Pharmaceutical loves the business they're in right now because they've come up with the magic elixir that in some cases you're being forced to take. In other cases, it's an opportunity to keep you well. This isn't about COVID. I'm pro-shot, but I'm even more pro-freedom. We can go ad nauseum. But it's a business at the end of the day. They're making $1,000 a minute. I do not begrudge them that. I begrudge the powers that be that I think play this game that's out there. But in business, you have to serve your customers. Journalism is no longer journalism. Journalism is a game. It's a game that is played with activists who are trying to get as many people to watch, read, share, follow as possible. And this is interesting. So this is a large company. So we're not talking about a small company that has just said, screw journalism. We're not here to be objective anymore.
I don't want anybody to get fired. I want people to change and realize that they are supposed to be objective.
Objectivity and trust are two of the cornerstones of journalism. But inside one of the nation's largest media companies, writers, producers, editors, reporters, and anchors are literally being trained to not be objective.
I challenge you to stop thinking in terms of objective journalism, and we'll discuss why that's not really feasible anymore.
Wouldn't they want to be trusted?
To me, that seems like that's part of the job, that you need trust to be able to do your job. Your job is to inform. And if you can't trust who you're getting that news from, you're not doing your job.
Yeah. And that's true. How many people trust the media? The media, the trust we have in media right now is virtually nigh. It's just not happening. We don't trust the media. We don't trust the media in the way that they handle just about everything, because all of them are coming at it with a different mindset. They went from being journalists and news organizations to media. Media is dollar bills. It's a business. I'm in the radio business. If I'm not interesting, people don't listen. People don't listen. People don't buy the products. People don't buy the products. I don't have a job. It's a business. I've taken a different approach than a lot of others. And a lot of others who take the approach that they take, they do it for several different reasons. It's easy. They're getting low-hanging fruit. I don't want low-hanging fruit. That's always there. I want people that want to think outside the box. I want to give you guys information. I'm going to give you my opinion. It's the way it should be. But I want to do it all based on facts. The problem is when you don't have entertainment side of it, you're not entertaining in and of yourself, then what has to be entertaining? Trump was a boondoggle for the left in the media. He was an absolute boondoggle. Why? Because he was the monster. He was Jekyll and Hyde. He was all of these things, and people wanted to watch, and people listened, and he got riled up, and everybody had the Trump bump. But I kept saying along the way, if he leaves, you'll find out who's good at what they do. And many of them have flailed. They've lied. They turn things into things that they weren't. All that aside, guess what? You're not interesting. And if you're not interesting, it doesn't matter. You know, when sports went last year and everything shut down, there were still sports stations. And I was talking to the guy that runs the sports stations out here. He goes, now we'll find out who's a good broadcaster and who's not a good broadcaster. Because it's easy to talk about the sports and the things that are going on, but when you don't have it, how do you move things around? Can you be entertaining? Can you be interesting? When you've got people coming out and saying, we're done with objective journalism, no, what you're saying is we're only going to be activists. We're going to spin things the way that we want. We're going to super serve a singular group, but we're also going to push an agenda.
And that's just what one whistleblower is telling us from inside a CBS television affiliate in San Antonio, Texas. Brett Mauser is a promotions producer at KNS5, which is owned by Tegna. Tegna is a media company that owns 64 television stations and 2 radio stations in 51 markets.
I'm coming from seeing this every day. I mean, I would tell people, my friends, family, about, hey, you can't trust the news. This is, you're being manipulated. Well, how do you know? I work in the news.
Yeah. You work in the news. You're being manipulated. You don't think you are? Of course you. If you're smart, you realize that. How many of you read stuff and you take it with a grain of salt? That's the way you should do it. You can be open-minded and skeptical at the same time. Open-minded and skeptical. But I don't begrudge people in a day and age where there's so much noise, super serving a segment of the population that they know that they need to serve because that's their customer base. What I get pissed about, and all of us should, is when you pass it off as journalism. Sean Hannity's not a journalist. Rachel Maddow, not a journalist. I don't look at them. They're not writing pieces every day. They're not chasing down scoops. What are they? To me, they're talking head opinion people. You bring those people on, they're not news. They're opinion. When you pass it as journalism, which in many cases they're doing now, CNN's always one of the most trusted name in news. No, you're not. And it used to be one of the places you could trust is your local news. Can you even do that anymore? Because this guy's saying, no, it's agenda-based.
Diversity, inclusivity training officer at Tegna.
It's kind of sorry, not sorry for the statement that I'm making there. At this point, if you're not listening to a podcast or looking at a video or reading any of the information that's out as far as equality and social justice and race, you don't care. We're going to be holding stations accountable because we know it's important to the organization from an inclusion standpoint.
What does this have to do with telling the news?
It doesn't. It's about pushing an agenda.
And that was the vice president of the Tegna.
And it feels almost threatening, doesn't it?
It kind of does. It kind of does. It feels a little threatening. It does. They're worried more about a lot of different things rather than just the news, which says to me, rather than reporting stuff, you're reporting an agenda-based thing. And I saw it the other day as a perfect example. How many of you know there were 6 kids shot in Colorado the other day? Probably not a lot. Because the moment it became gang violence, it ended there. The moment a narrative didn't fit a narrative, it became an issue. Somebody asked me, who do you blame? I blame up the consumers. Because if we continue to consume it this way, we're going to continue to get what we want. And more people are worried about affirmation than information, and that's sad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. You don't believe me? They want you to try it for free. They're going to send you a bag of this amazing canine supplement called Vitasmart. It's right on top. Canine Vitasmart. Just sprinkle it on top of your dog's food. You watch what happens. Probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9s, vegetables, vitamin, minerals, all this incredible stuff brings your dog's food to life. And I will tell you this, it has helped my older dog in ways that is incredible. You cover the cost of shipping, you're going to get a bag for free. They're willing to put their money where their mouth is. Your dog will love the taste, and the benefits are incredible. ruffgreens.com/Chad, 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 or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to the Chad Benson Show.
Gas prices are going up. I said yesterday, one of the things that he could do that ease it, I've been saying it for months, is make a phone call to the leader of Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince. He's the de facto leader, right? Well, he doesn't want to do that because the whole thing with Khashoggi. Why was it in a different way with Trump? Well, because Trump can compartmentalize and says, look, he said he didn't do it, so he said he didn't do it, so I ain't going to talk to him anymore. I'm totally fine with that. We talked about other stuff. I keep asking him, how did you get a cheetah to ride around in your Ferrari? You guys have never seen some of the stuff you see over there because of just the opulent wealth. But I also said, trading. People say, well, how could that bring the price down of oil if he makes a phone call? Because the amount of the marketplace of which big investment groups, okay, we're not talking about the average speculator here. Okay, we're not talking about that because people are like, it's because of speculators. We're not talking about that. We're talking about massive amounts of contracts in a marketplace, the NYMEX and the energy prices that can be completely manipulated. But when they start buying certain things, options, calls, puts, right? We're selling, we're going long. When they start doing certain things, that they're hedging their bet because they actually have the physical product in hand. So if soybeans collapse and you have soybeans as a farmer, you're buying puts, you're buying options and selling a contract here or there in the open market to offset the amount of grain that you have, just in case the marketplace falls to a certain level. Physically, you own it. It's not worth a lot, but you made it up elsewhere, so your loss won't be as bad. But when you get to the industrial size traders, if you will, it's tough. And they're looking at all kinds of ways that he doesn't have to make a phone call. What's POTUS doing now?
President Biden is asking the Federal Trade Commission to look into if what he calls, quote, illegal conduct by oil and gas companies is driving up the price of gas. In a letter to the chair of the FTC, the president writes, quote, prices at the pump have continued to rise, even as refined fuel costs go down and industry profits go up. President Biden adds that he's asking the FTC to examine what's happening with oil and gas markets and take action if any wrongdoing is uncovered. The average price of a gallon of gas in the U.S. was nearly $3.40 on Monday, according to data from the Energy Information Agency. That's a 7-year high. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Yeah. Again, you're looking at things where you're trying to grasp at straws over the fact that they have a cartel. They're controlling the marketplace, and that includes stuff. I used to have to tell people, right? So somebody would send me when I was a broker. I was working at Newhall, which is my first brokerage firm I ever worked at. So I'm working at Newhall Trading. It was Main Street Trading. That was, this Ken Roberts wrote this book, and it was crazy. We had hundreds of brokers, and it was crazy. And so you'd get people that would read this book, and then they'd want to trade the weirdest stuff. And you're like, did you not even read the book? Have you not looked at it? Do you not get it? And they would put themselves in marketplaces where they had no chance. There wasn't enough liquidity. These guys make the market, meaning the guys on the floor are making the market. So, and if you've never seen any of what goes on, you see the stock exchange are all together. The commodity market is crazy because they all have little signs to each other, so they know where your stop is. They know how to blow you out of a contract. So people put stops in. If it goes to a certain level, it falls to a certain level, it triggers an automatic sell or buy or whatever happens. So they kind of know where everything is. So people get in marketplaces that they don't have the money to be in. The average speculator, No. Nowadays, if you're going to speculate like that, you go to a place like the Forex market. And the reason's pretty simple. Forex is the most liquid market in the world. It does in an hour what the stock market does in a month. Every foreign company in the world and bank keeps all of their currencies in there. You never have to worry about not being able to get out. Some of these places, you get thumped. It's not the average guy. They may manipulate it based on the amount of contracts they have, but it isn't going to be that. It isn't. You're grasping. At some point in time, you've got to either pick up the phone call or tell everybody, look, we're going to do all we can. But the reality is, even if we turned all the pipes on today, even if we did everything you thought we should be doing because so-and-so is telling you, it's not going to make the kind of difference that we need at this moment in time. At this moment in time, it's about driving the marketplace prices down as much as anything. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program Woke Wednesday. We've got some wokey stuff. Woohoo! Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Look, if you're trying to push the COVID, get the shot thing out there, which I'm totally for. Got zero problems. They've got an image problem right now. And part of the problem is things like this. 100% of the Ottawa Senators National Hockey League team has their shots. They have been vaccinated. 40% of them have tested positive for COVID. 40%. Epidemiologists say, I'm not particularly surprised. They've long warned that while vaccines are highly effective in infecting and preventing serious illness from the coronavirus, they're not a foolproof in blocking infections, especially as time wanes. That's the big thing, right? Go, go, go. The good news is COVID we don't have to worry about very long because there's something worse coming.
I tell my constituents, last year with COVID was awful. But in a few years, because of climate change, each year will be worse than COVID, and each year will be worse than the next if we don't do anything about it.
You're so full of crap. You are so full of it. You are absolutely so full. And if you buy into that, you're an idiot. You don't believe in climate change? Of course climate changes. You don't believe we have an effect? Of course we do. There's 7 billion of us. We're going to have some sort of an effect. But you don't believe that the world's going to... No, it's not going anywhere. Even in the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, there is no event that has us disappearing. Even the other day, I was watching it as infrastructure. Do you realize there was $93 billion of damage done? Don't build your house there. Problem solved. When they talk about how bad things are, they put it in dollars. And when they do that, it's because people put a house on a beach. In a beach where there is going to be a hurricane. But you wouldn't put a house there. And in putting a house there, you understand the risk. They're not talking about death. They're talking about what? Damage done. But because they're not stronger, they're not more frequent. 75 years ago, nobody lived there. How do we really know what it was? How do we really know how bad it was? Honestly. That's the stuff you hear, and you're just like, there. If we don't do anything, you think COVID's bad. Oh, you think COVID's bad. In a couple of years, climate change is going to be awful. Then next year, it's going to be even more awful than that. And the following year, it's going to be awful. So if we just do this little bit of tiny, little bit of it's not going to really have an effect, but it'll give us more control. If you just do that, we're going to be great. We're going to be fantastic. No, I'm sorry. Not buying it. Not going to buy it. Can't. I just think he's full of it. That stuff. And I want to take better care of the environment. I think most of you do. All that being said, when I hear that, you're not saying anything that's based in reality. You're saying things that are based in great headlines meant to scare people. But at the end of the day, nothing's getting done. Nothing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program. For those of you who don't know, today is Wednesday. That makes it Wokeness. Woke Wednesday is a real thing. For us, it is. We have fun with wokeness. Let's talk about some problems. First of all, trans students. You know they're trans. Does their parents? How do we figure out how we maneuver through that?
The topic of trans kids and teens being out at school but not out at home. And the teachers know the chosen names and pronouns, but they are conflicted as to how they should address the trans students if they see them out in public with their parents. The popular consensus is just don't mention any names at all. No gendered language whatsoever. And I understand trans lives are more important than cis feelings. But when there's a teacher who's trying to carry on a conversation with parents, but also respect the trans student, that creates more of a dynamic that is a little bit more uncomfortable for the teacher as well.
How about just say your name? But what if I want to be called Flopsy Mops, but at home I'm Derek? First of all, I'm not calling you Flopsy Mops, so pick a new name. But I want to be called Flopsy Mops. We're going to call you Derek, because we want to make a scene. I got other things to do. I got 28 other people that are trying to learn math. They're not really as interested in what's going on in your world as you are. So I don't think it's fair that you want to be called Flopsy Mops. I can't believe that. How about this one, kids? You ever thought maybe, just maybe, you know what? I always knew when I was assigned this gender at birth, I was on the right track, but I always felt I was the wrong species.
Basically, she went to the store, Frog went to the store. It's her coat, it's Frog's coat. That's pretty much it. It's just Frog, Frog's self. So she, hers, herself, Frog's self. It belongs to Frog. It's Frog's self. And pretty much any other noun pronouns can be used like this, such as kitty's, kitty self, or puppy self, or paw. Paw went to the store. It's Paw's coat, etc.
Paw did not go to the store. Paw did none of those things because Paw was Mr. Ingalls, and we know he's no longer with us. That's not very nice. That's what people have to deal with. That is not how you deal with things in life. I get it. Look, again, be who you want. Zero problems with that. At some point, though, also respect that other people have their views, and you may not like them. Also understand that other people may be working and or in a classroom studying, and while your identity is important to you, their work and getting stuff done is important to them, which I think we take away from a lot of different things. We take away that thought of being uncomfortable because they knew this kid as Johnny for 15 years, and now Johnny's decided he's a woman and wants to be in the same room with the women and the girls while they change, and they feel uncomfortable already because they're young kids and they're going through, changes in their body. We've all been there, and maybe they're not bad people, as you would like to say, or phobic, They just feel uncomfortable. Maybe you want to be addressed a certain way in a classroom that becomes a big thing while they're just studying and you and your teacher or instructor are going at it. Maybe they just, you know what? Maybe, sorry you were misgendered earlier. I've known you as Steve and now you're called Linda. That was a mistake. I've got to get this report out. So can't have that anymore. Now it's like everybody goes to therapy. That's what it's all about. It's crazy and it's frustrating, but it's also scary because things that we've talked about since I've done my show, let alone this show in particular for the last going on 7-8 years, is the fact that these things end up becoming part of what becomes normal. What was once looked at as like, oh, that's a fringe thing is now everywhere. And never more has this been seen or heard than this insanity right here. This insanity here is one of the craziest things. But we have said all along, at some point in time, somebody's going to do it. At some point in time, they're going to try to make a situation that is absolutely out of control. No chance that should happen. We shouldn't even entertain anything like that. But somebody decides that they're going to push it. Dr. Alan Walker, Old Dominion, well, used to be, wants to talk about MAP or MAPS, minor attracted person.
I use the term minor attracted person or MAP because I think it's important to use terminology for groups that members of that group want others to use for them. And MAP advocacy groups like Before You Act have advocated for use of the term MAP. They've advocated for it primarily because it's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile. A lot of people, when they hear the term pedophile, they automatically assume that it means a sex offender. And that isn't true, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions about attractions toward minors.
Wrote a book about this. Old Dominion professor wrote a book about this. Experiences, this is who he is. He's an experiences of trans scholars in criminology and criminal justice. He indicates himself as queer and non-binary trans. And his book, A Long Dark Shadow, Minor Attracted People and Their Pursuit of Dignity. Sorry, no. Start small. Remember that.
I've definitely heard the idea that you brought up, though, that the use of the term minor attracted person suggests that it's okay to be attracted to children. But using a term that communicates who someone is attracted to doesn't indicate anything about the morality of that attraction.
Tries to spin it as it's okay to want to be a kid toucher as long as you don't touch kids. He says, I want to be extremely clear that child sex abuse is never, ever okay. But having an attraction to minors, as long as it isn't acted on, doesn't mean the person who has those attractions is doing something wrong. I think we have a tendency to want to categorize people with these attractions as evil or morally corrupt. But when we're talking about non-offending MAPs, these are people who have an attraction that they didn't ask for and one that frequently they would give anything to change. But they find that they're unable to change those attractions. And most importantly, the people in my study did not act upon them. Goes on to talk about several different things. Sorry. You're trying to normalize something that is despicable. Take it from me and what happened to me as a child. You're a vile individual, and thank God Old Dominion came out and said, this person's on leave. Not only is it morally reprehensible, any thought of this is vile. But when you give the opportunity to try to control language, when you give the opportunity to try to give everybody some sort of dignity, even if they're, I mean, it's not everybody's good. I want to say this, right? Not everybody's good. Not every little thing maps minor attracted people. Sorry. That's disgusting. You don't deserve dignity because it's vile. You don't deserve anything like a special kind of word so you can be dignified and play some sort of victim. Like, I just don't know how I got here. Wrong. But these are the kind of things that when you allow this wokeness and wackiness to slowly permeate through, more and more people becoming comfortable with saying they can kind of do whatever the hell they want to do and pass it off as I'm some sort of protected group. This is one group. Sorry. Old Dominion, good on you. Get his ass out of there. Her ass. Non-binary. Whatever it is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Raycon, best earbuds around. And check out the Chad Benson Show podcast. Get over there. Fine podcasts are available. Up to 20% off. The best earbuds around. 8 hours of playtime. 32 hours of charge time. Great case, right? So you get these amazing earbuds. These everyday earbuds are amazing that Ray J's put together. And by the way, no supply chain issues. And right away, take them outside of the box. That's the charging case. They're ready to go. Off your head. The fit, incredible. Going to love it. 3 new control modes, right? Got the bass mode, the pure mode. Oh, you're going to love all of these. The control's better. The sound's better. The fit is incredible. You will love these everyday earbuds from Raycon. Right now, 45-day happiness guarantee. Going to absolutely love these. I'm telling you guys. And they start under $70. You get a 20% discount, but you got to act fast. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. B-U-I, Raycon, RAYCON.com/Chad. Go there, save up to 20% on these amazing earbuds. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man. Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
COVID not going anywhere. I think we already know that, but the good news is there's more treatments on the way, which is the final thing that we need to combat this, where we just get back to our everyday normal lives, that even the powers that be, as much as they want to cling on to this, will, God willing, have to go, all right, we'll let you guys do that now. We'll let you guys go to school without wearing a mask or whatever. And it's the treatment.
Other treatments like monoclonal antibodies require patients to go to a clinic or hospital. But the Pfizer pill called Paxlovid can be prescribed by a doctor and taken at home. It's a series of 30 pills for 5 days after testing positive. The Washington Post reporting the Biden administration is already planning to buy enough courses of the drug for 10 million people. Another pill from drug maker Merck could be authorized first, likely by the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like the last straw, if you will, as far as the things. Because once you have an effective, absolutely an effective treatment, there's nothing that says we can't get back to normal. Except for who? The people we've always talked about. Unwinding the power that people have taken is going to be far harder than I think people realize. Say what you want about Texas. Say what you want about Florida. But at the end of the day, if we go back to, like, all of a sudden, oh, things can get back to normal, states will still, across the country, try to impose certain things in certain places because they've enjoyed the power that they've had. You know, Florida's not going to go, all right, you guys can have your power back. They're like, we don't want any of your power. You guys do your own thing. And it's still Florida, and they've had their issues. But that's interesting to see how this works out. So, treatments, the next. Woke Wednesday, fun, kids, always. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet, text, all of that phenomenal stuff that we love you guys do. Check out all the social media, the Getter, all of that stuff across the board. Have a blessed rest of your day. We got you over the hump. We will do it again tomorrow night. Night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.